Okay, so that is what I wanted to give a brief on Artha as a Purushartha. Then comes Kama. The third Purushartha in this list is Kama as a Purushartha. And let us see what this Purushartha has to say. So what is this Kama? We have to first understand. Kama is actually, again, I am trying to use a nearest English word, desire. Okay. Kama is actually a mental process. Please understand. It's an intense mental process. Kama is that. And out of that mental process, it will trigger other physical and physiological processes. And that in turn will lead to satisfying sensory urges. That is actually one way to understand Kama. And so this is the sort of fundamental building block of Kama. Please understand, we must understand that Kama is actually a mental process more than anything. All that happens after that is a follow-up of the mental process. This is the first thing that we should be very clear when you talk of Kama. The second thing, I wouldn't say Kama is bad. Again, this is a big misconception that people have. People think, oh, you know, because we are told, oh no, Kama is a very bad, we should not have Kama. No, it's not like that. We should develop a high degree of discrimination in understanding these words. I want to tell you, Kama is a natural component of living beings. Without Kama, Kama is the driver of activity and progress. You know, in Lalita Sahasranama, I suddenly remember this mantra. In Lalita Sahasranama, there is one mantra, one nama. It says, Icha Shakti, Jnana Shakti, Kriya Shakti, Swarupinyai Namaha. Now, there are three here. Icha Shakti. That is the first one. In fact, these three, you can never change the order. Huh? It is not casually written like that. You think of achieving any success in life. We'll keep this discussion for a moment. Let's get into that discussion. Suppose I want to achieve success in something. If I have to achieve success in something, the first requirement is Icha. First, I should desire that I need to succeed. You know that I was talking about that lady who climbed Everest, whose legs were amputated and so on, Arunima Sinha. So she had this desire. Although both my legs are amputated, I will scale the Everest. Like that, anything that we do in our professional life, in our personal life, in our family life, whatever, Icha Shakti. Then you cannot jump to Kriya Shakti. You need know-how. The Icha must drive you to know-how. That's why it's called Jnana Shakti. That is the second step. And once we develop a know-how, then Kriya Shakti. Then we will actually deploy and deliver. That's why in Lalita Sahasranama you have Icha Shakti, Kriya, Jnana Shakti, Kriya Shakti, Swarupinyai Namaha. Therefore, this Icha is very important. It drives activity and progress. And Kama is a fundamental component of propagation of human race, which is a responsibility. You have to look at it like that. It is a responsibility, not an occasion to satisfy sensory pleasures and urges. Not that way. Propagation of human race also requires Kama. Any activity and progress requires Kama. That is why our ancestors kept it as a Purushartha, but they kept it after Dharma. You can't do in a way which is adharmic. So I want to clear this misconception. Not all Kama are bad. Kama is an integral part of our existential living, but we should develop that high sense of discrimination to understand what is this Purushartha and how we should make use of it. That's why I said not to be branded as negative always. Kama is not to be branded as negative always. Of course, sometimes it is problematic. And that's why it is an essential component of life. it requires use with discrimination. And that is our ancestors' conceptualization of kama as a purushartha. It's not a blind sensory pleasure and animal-like indulgences, and no, not that. They realize it is very important, so they have given a certain kind of a perspective to it. So essentially, then what the ancestors are saying? The ancestors are simply saying that we need to tread carefully in kama. Kama is an inevitable component of our living. Therefore, the emphasis is not to discuss whether we need it or don't need it. The emphasis is to discuss how exactly to use this sort of a feature that the Lord has wired into us. That is, I think, a very sensible discussion in the Purushartha called Kama. So, again, this is, again, Yayati says this in Mahabharata. This comes in Mahabharata, and Yayati says this. Nasti kama samo vyadihi, nasti, no, this is somewhere else, sorry. Nasti kama samo vyadihi, nasti moha samo ripuhu, nasti krodha samo vannihi, nasti jnanat param sukham. So, there is nothing equal to kama when it comes to a vyadi. It's the biggest disease that one can think of. Nasti moha samo ripuhu, this deep attachment is the biggest enemy that one can think of. Nasti krodha samo vannihi, there is no fire better equivalent to krodha, anger. And nasti jnanat param sukham, a good knowledge is the ultimate pleasure. So it is only saying you have to be careful. You have to be very watchful. While it is a required thing, it's an inevitable required thing, but you have to be very careful. This is what Yayati was saying in Mahabharata. You will find it at the very beginning of Mahabharata. Najatu kamaha kamanam upabhogena shamyati havisha krishnavartmeva bhuya eva abhivardate. I mean, you know that story, you know, Yayati wanted to have more and more sensory indulgence. He asked all his 5 sons, can you exchange your youthfulness with me? I am getting old, but my desire to consume these worldly pleasures and the sensory urges is not over. So I think the 5th son agreed to exchange his youthfulness with Yayati. And after 1,000 years, Yayati came and said, I have only become worser. Najatu kamaha kamanam upabhogena shamyati. By consuming more and more kama, upashamana never happened. It has only increased it. It has made it worse. That's what Yayati is saying. Havisha krishnavartmeva bhuyeva abhivardate. Just like by adding more and more ghee into the havis and ghee into the homa, into the Agni, the Agni will only grow. Agni, you know, Shamanam will not happen. So this is the trap of Kama. So we should therefore know when to use Kama and what ways to use Kama. I think that is a very sensible understanding of Kama as a Purushartha. So in Bhagavad Gita, there are about 19-20 places where there is this discussion of Kama. In fact, the first major discussion is in chapter 2 of Bhagavad Gita, and there is the shloka 62 and 63. Sangha sanjayate kamaha, kamat krodho bijayate, krodhat bhavati sammoha, sammoha smriti vibramah, smriti bhrumshat buddhinasha, buddhinashat pranashyati. Dhyayate vishayan pumsah, sangasteshu upajayate, sangha sanjayate kamaha. So there is a nice 8-step process, which he says uncontrolled kama can eventually lead to one's own destruction. That's why he says buddhinasho pranashyati. Your sense of discrimination will go, and finally you will lose out yourself in the process. Like that he has said. But there are several other places throughout in Gita. Krishna has spoken about the kind of subtlety and discriminating understanding we have to develop about kama so beautifully. I will take in only one or two slokas for want of time. You know, Arjuna asked in chapter 3 of Bhagavad Gita, he said, Atakkena prayuktoyam papam charati purushah anichanapi varshneya baladiva niyojita. He said, why am I committing wrong things? And then later I say, oh, why did I do it? I should not have done it. As though somebody is baladiva niyojita. Somebody is pushing me into doing this wrong thing, which I think later. For which Krishna replied, Kama yesha krodha yesha rajoguna samudbhavah mahashano mahapapma viddi enam iha vairinam. This happens, Arjuna, let me tell you, because it's because of Kama and Krodha. Kama and Krodha are two sides of the same coin. If you have desire, very soon it will also have anger of not getting it and fear of not getting. All these are the other side of Kama. They are all from Rajoguna. And then he says, Maha Ashanaha. They consume everything. They are the big gobblers. They will eat away your peace of mind, your dharmic framework, everything will be consumed. Maha Papma. They have this propensity to generate a lot of Papa Karya. So our Sanchita karma, our Agami karmas and all that will only multiply. Biddhi, Enam. Enam means these two, these Kama and Krodha. Iha, now, here, Vairinam, they are your enemies. Be careful. Handle them very carefully. You can't say I don't want it, but you have to handle them very carefully. Then in chapter 7, there is a beautiful definition Krishna gives. Balam balavatam chaham kamaraga vivarjitam. That bala, which is kamaraga vivarjitam, which is bereft of kama and raga, that bala is your true strength. Otherwise, this kama and raga will make you a falsified strength of yours. But then in next line he says, Dharma avriddaha bhuteshu kamosmi. He says, all desires which do not militate against dharma, Krishna says, see me there, see godliness there. So all kamas, all desires which are not against dharma is an aspect of divinity. Krishna is saying it very clearly in Bhagavad Gita. Dharma avriddha bhuteshu, bhuteshu dharma avriddha kamaha asmi. I am there. Hey Bharatarshaba. So therefore Krishna has very beautifully said that kama is not bad, but kama which is aligned and dovetailed to dharma is good and it is divine. That much level he has raised this platform. Then this is that today I quoted this shloka during the question and answer session. Yaha shastram vidim usrijya vartate kamakaratah na saha siddhim avapnoti na sukam na param gatim. So, you know, out of desire and raga, kama and raga, passion and, you know, deep attachment and kama, you bend back all the rules, you adjust the rules and say, no, I have genuine desire, but I will do it the way I want it and all that. Shastra vidim usrijya. By giving Shastra go by, whatever you do, he says, na siddhim avapnoti, that will not fructify. The objective will not be met, will not be satisfied. Na sukam, we will not get sukha. Na param gatim, our journey in this endless loop of janmas, going to the param gati, that will be stunted. Or it will be like a short circuit. That should not happen. So, like that, there are 19 places Krishna has spoken about. In chapter 17 alone, there are many on Kama and so on. But most important message we have to take from Krishna is Dharma avriddha bhuteshu kamosmi. That is the most important message. That all desires which don't militate against Dharma, which is aligned to Dharma, are indeed good. We can pursue that. Our ancestors looked at Kama as a Purushartha only with this lens. And there is a very nice shloka in chapter 2 of Bhagavad Gita. Towards the end, I think it is the 70th shloka, I think. It says apuryamanam achalam achala pratishtam samudramapah pravishanti yadvat tadvat kamaha yaha pravishoti akamakami. That's how that shloka comes. Basically what it says is the greatest river in the world, Brahmaputra, Nile, Amazon, Ganges, whatever you take it, even the greatest river, when they go and join their ocean, wherever it is, samudram apaha pravishanti apuryamanam achala pratishtam samudram. Because this greatest river emptied all its water into the ocean did not rattle, it did not even shake. It was an embodiment of fullness, apuryamanam. In the same tadvat kamaha yaha pravishanti sarve akamakami sashanti mapnoti akamakami. So we should be an akamakami. We must engage and into the world of desire like a akamakami. That's why I use the title. I remember that shloka. But what is this being an akamakami? We should understand that there are very clear delineations we should understand. There are certain good kamas. Let us not miss the essence of it. Having progeny, it is a rina, it's a pitra rina. We have to fulfill that, and we have to continue this humankind for the benefit of people. So having progeny is a good karma. Meeting basic needs, food, clothing, shelter, etc. Basic needs in rightful and reasonable ways is of course karma. That's why Krishna says again in chapter 3, Sharira yatrapi na siddhayet akarmana. He says, without doing, you need to do certain work even to maintain your body. This body is given by the Prakriti to us. Until we give it back, we should handle it very carefully. We should keep it. Let us say I borrowed a book from you. Are you telling me that I can misuse it, tear it, make it into pieces and then give it to you? We will never do that. What we will do is we will keep it, especially if it is your book, I will keep it properly. Even if there is a slight loosening of some stitches, we will try to put a gum or something, because the day I give it back to you, I don't want you to feel that this has been misused. Same is true of our body. Prakriti has given this body, and we have to give this body back to the Prakriti when the Lord asked us to give. Until then, you have to keep it properly. Nothing. We should keep it very, very carefully. It is borrowed from the Lord. That is why meeting the basic needs, food, clothing, shelter, etc., etc. And desire for lokasangraha. I want larger social good. I want the slum children to be educated. I want poor people to come up. I want, during this lockdown period, I don't want people to suffer. All those are good desire. Who said karma is bad? They are all good desire. Lokasangraha, larger social good, welfare, social welfare, and so on. And a desire to protect dharma. Krishna had that in a very big, it's Avatara Purusha Mahima. At any cost, yada yada hi dharmasya glanihi bhavati bharata abhyuttanam adharmasya tada atmanam srijamyaham paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. Protecting dharma is a good desire. Welfare, sustainability, all these are good karma. Who said it is all bad karma? They are all good karma. Then there are quite a few which are clearly bad karma. Excessive sensory indulgence is very different from having progeny. In fact, I now remember, suddenly this comes to my mind, in Prashnopanishad, okay? As you know, Prashnopanishad is 6 disciples go to Pipalada. Each disciple is asking a question. And it's a conversation. The disciple asks a question and Pipalada gives an answer. So 6 questions, 6 chapters. Questions are all very nice questions. So in the first question, in the first chapter, It's all about rai and matter and energy, those kind of questions. So there Piplada says, ye mitunam utpadeyanti te brahmacharyam charanti. He says you must have mitunam, two children. So having progeny, having two children for they brahmacharyam charanti is what he says. That is called good karma. Sensory indulgence, getting into all kinds of nonsense that is all going on, that is bad karma. Extravagant desires and wants, and to meet that extravagant desires, you go after people, money, assets at any cost. I will have to get it. I will do all kinds of things, change everything, destroy this, destroy that. That is bad karma. Desire for personal gains, selfish pursuits, selfish benefits, they are all bad karma. They are not good karma. Loka Sangraha is good karma. Again in chapter 3 of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Loka Sangraham eva sampashyan kartumarhati. Janaka, great kings like Janaka were only living a life like that. For them, Loka Sangraha was great. Sampashyan kartumarhasi. That's what Krishna said. So, personal gains, benefits, selfish pursuits, they are all bad karma. Adjusting everything for attaining personal goal. That's why I told Charvakas, I told today what is happening in modern society. It says kama is the first purushartha. I want this. There is a new gadget that has come. I want it. I don't have money to buy. Don't worry. Take some EMI. Phone you buy on EMI. Car you buy on EMI. So this indulgence, unlimited indulgence, adjusting everything. So I want to fulfill desire at any cost, and if I don't have money, I will take credit card, and even then it is not working out, I'll tweak the rules and do some mischief and then find the money. That is bad karma, and that is a karma which will eat us. Therefore, our two very important takeaways from karma as a purushartha is, it says dharma avruddha bhuteshu kamosmi bharatarshava. That's a very important message, that all karmas which are not against dharma are all divine, we should have. And second thing is, a bad karma will actually swallow us, which will eat us and which will destroy us. So if we develop these thoughts, these are basic frameworks. I am not, I think the Purusharthas are all very important frameworks. If these frameworks are well understood and we lay our life, this mosaic pattern of our life with these tiles, that dharmasya anusarena artha, arthasya anusarena kama. If we do that, then this dharma artha kama trivarga will be a very fruitful exercise in our janmas. It will fix our free will component so well. It will clean up our vasanas so well. It will ensure that our karma package will sort of start shrinking. This is the goal finally. Therefore, in every janma, to ensure that we work very well with respect to our free will component and all that, these purusharthas are to be taken very seriously. We have to develop a sense of discrimination and make good use of it. With respect to artha, I want to make these 2 points very clear. Number one, this misconception that our ancient Indians did not want money, they were simple people, are totally wrong. I have read a lot of passages. They really, if you read Veda, you will find that these prayers are all asking for riches and power and health and position. Purva Bhaga, Veda is full of that. Karma Kanda is full of that. So therefore, it's not that they didn't want, they wanted all that. And that is a very, very important message. Second important message in Artha as a Purushartha is, you get out of this money business and this wealth pyramid that modern Western education has taught us. That is a minuscule of wealth. Don't pit your today's notion of wealth against the other notion of wealth, which is your health and peace of mind and so on. Put all of them together and construct a new pyramid of wealth. So these are the very important messages in Purusharthas. I think we will stop here with the Shanti Mantra, and next week we will see the Yajna and Dana, which are very important part of our Sanatan Dharma. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Let me transfer control back to the Vyoma people. Thank you.